Welcome to Chapter 10. This is the final quest battle in Part 1, and I'm playing it on the second weekend of the month. I promoted 5 of my units to the advanced tier by now. My goal for the 3 battles I'm doing this weekend is to prepare everyone else for promotion. I have 11 paralogs left to do before the time skip, and assuming I'm going to explore at least once per month, I have only 6 possible weekends in which to do them. At 3 battles per weekend, I could do them all in just 4, but I'm going to stretch them to 5 weekends across the final 3 months. That compresses my schedule a lot. I don't get to do a ton of faculty training, and it's also pretty difficult to tutor anyone more than twice in a single month. It'll take a lot of work on this one weekend to finish all my preparations for advanced tier certifications. But if I can pull it off, that'll be so liberating. Once they promote, a lot of my units are going to be endgame ready. Most of them don't care about the abilities they can get by mastering advanced classes, and they'll already have almost all the skill ranks they'll need for master classes when the time comes. And the advanced classes offer huge power boosts. Many of them provide extra mobility, and almost all of them have built-in weapon pairs to stack on top of my death blows and fiendish blows and darting blows and hit plus 20s. I'll be able to use that power to steamroll some of the hardest maps in the game. I'm ordering the remaining paralogs by seeking a balance between their difficulty level and their rewards. I want to do easier ones now, before all the promotions happen, but I also want them to give me useful stuff that will make my job easier in the next paralogs. What I'm doing on this particular quest battle is pretty old hat by now. I'm going to sandbag for several turns, aiming to boost everyone's skill ranks by making them participate in and survive as many fights as possible. There are some cool tricks to enjoy if you watch carefully, but instead of commentating on the action, I'm going to talk about my plans for the team. Our main character, Byleth, is going to bounce between Warlock and Trickster for a while. I want him to earn S+ Reason eventually, mainly for one specific job way later in the game. Longtime viewers can probably guess what that is. But I also need him to be in a class with Stealth for a different job in a few chapters. Assassin is basically better than Trickster, but I want Byleth to retain spell access so that he can keep working on those Reason and Faith ranks. I don't expect Duelist's Blow to be very useful. At the end of this chapter, Byleth will unlock the Enlightened One class. It's a great mage class, especially for a male Byleth, since it offers 2 more movement than the vanilla magic classes and 1 more than Trickster. I like Sacred Power too. On maps where higher movement is essential, Trickster and then Enlightened One will be the classes of choice. But if Byleth doesn't need to move that far, or if he can get help from Lysithea or Flame, then he'll stick with Warlock for the extra power and the bonus to Reason points. Later on, I expect Byleth to use all 3 of Dark Bishop, Dark Knight, and Mortal Savant. Dark Bishop isn't a great class, but Life Taker can be useful, and I can envision scenarios where he supports the team better with Heartseeker. Otherwise, I'll want Dark Knight for mobility, and Mortal Savant on maps where the terrain is unfriendly to cavalry. I've invested some speed boosters in Byleth, and I plan to continue that, so I'm not especially worried about the penalties to speed growth.
I will get the victory.
Claude has been a warrior for a little while already. As soon as he gets Wrath, I'll make him a sniper and convert to Vantage Wrath strategies using the killer bow I got from the Raphael and Ignatz paralog. Vantage Wrath Claude more or less ends the game. He can die to gambits, but Claude has great charm, and it's pretty unusual for there to be a ton of enemies with offensive gambits packed close together. Because of that, those enemies are pretty easy to pick off on player phase. That's especially true once Claude starts flying. I intend to give Claude a healthy batch of strength, dexterity, and luck boosters so that he can reliably hit and kill everything for the rest of the game. Lawrence just qualified for Paladin and Dark Bishop. Warlock is basically better than Dark Bishop, but I wanted to save the advanced seal for now. Like Byleth, Lawrence has the bulk to make Life Taker genuinely useful. Also like Byleth and other male mages, and female mages before the DLC came out, Lawrence has serious movement issues. The advanced magic classes still only have 4 movement, at a point where flyers have 7, paladins get 8, and the best infantry classes have 6 movement unhindered by terrain. Magical Lawrence often gets left behind, and he has no particular long-range utility, no physic and no siege magic. He needs to be in the action to do anything, and that can be a problem on some maps before he hits level 20 and becomes a Dark Knight. But Paladin is also a powerful option for Lawrence. Frozen Lance lets him keep using his magic stat, and he gets doubled movement plus Canto. He won't be as effective on enemy phase, but don't underestimate the power of Lancefare.
Appreciated.
Raphael's going for War Monk and Grappler. War Monk isn't that strong a class, but the healing utility can be kind of useful, and the extra 4 base resistance can make a noticeable difference for Raphael, who has terrible res otherwise. When you master Grappler, you get the Fierce Iron Fist art, which has a triple hit effect. It's very strong, but it's really overkill for part 1, so I'm not worried about rushing it. Eventually, I want Raphael to complete the War Master class for Quick Riposte. That's one of the few master classes whose mastery ability really matters, so I'll try to rush it as soon as I can after the time skip. Like Claude, Ignatz is going for Warrior. He will master that class and use Wrath for a bit, but that's not my ultimate goal with him. He's going into Warrior because he needs the Axe rank to become a War Master. With the high crit rate swords in this game, and War Master's crit plus 20 skill, it's possible for Ignatz to reach unconditional 100% crit rate. After Warrior, I'll send Ignatz through Hero. Hero has built-in Vantage to use with Wrath, saving an ability slot temporarily, and it also offers Defiant Strength. Defiant Strength usually isn't that good, but on War Master Ignatz it can take the place of Wrath. If he ever needs that plus 8 damage boost, it's available to him, but I can also heal him to full and retain 100% crit. This build is fun, but it's complete overkill, especially given that I'll have Claude to do most of the same things while flying. But hey, overkill is the heart and soul of this run. Lysithea will continue the theme of going for one-shot kills. She already has Vantage, so if she can stack all the available damage skills, she'll do a very credible impression of Conquest Ophelia. Valkyrie is a huge boon to Lysithea. It solves 2 of her main issues at once. It gives her extra attack range so that she's not dependent on Thyrsus or the Caduceus staff to counterattack enemy archers or mages with 3 range, and it also gives her great mobility. Warp and Canto at level 20 is deeply unfair too. As I've said before, Lysithea is also angling for a Paladin certification for the extra strength. As for Marianne, I think I've pretty much covered her at this point. She's already my dancer, so I'm just putting her in these cavalry classes during easy battles to get her to A+ in riding faster. I don't think you necessarily need movement +1 to be a great dancer. Particularly on the shorter Black Eagles campaigns, you don't get as much time to benefit from the boosted movement, and it makes a lot of sense to focus on other useful abilities like Siege Magic. But I get 22 chapters plus a full set of paralogs, and I actually do need my dancer to have 7 movement. Hilda's already prepared for endgame and just needs to reach level 20 so she can ride a wyvern. She's one of those units who doesn't have any special gimmicks, she's just bringing a bunch of good skills and good stats. Typically on Maddening mode, that kind of unit gets relatively worse in part 2. The enemy stats are so high that it's hard to meet them point for point, and so the best units have some unique utility or a great combat art like Swift Strikes or Vengeance, or some crazy combination of abilities that makes them into an enemy phase monster. But Hilda will still do well. She'll hit hard, she gets a strong relic, and even her personal ability stays useful when combined with Wyvern Lord's 8 flying movement. Leonie is much like Hilda. She has every ability she wants. But Leonie's already promoted. I made her a sniper mainly for the bow skill points, which will help her reach A rank in bows faster. She will master the class, but I don't expect to use Hunter's Volley very much. Instead, I'm planning to put Leonie on a horse so that she can abuse point-blank volley with Canto. I also want to work on Leonie's authority rank. One of the few major advantages the cavalry classes have over their flying counterparts is that they can use the non-flying battalions, and Canto combines very nicely with the support gambits. Blessing is restricted to ground units, and so was Stride before the DLC. When you choose the Blue Lions or Golden Deer, Retribution is ground exclusive too. As a bow knight, Leonie is one of the best candidates for the only Retribution battalion I can get, the Index Sword Fighters. She loves their stat boosts, and as a person with innate 1-4 range, she doesn't care about having Retribution herself. However, the Index sword fighters require an A rank in authority. Ferdinand's actually deployed right now, for the 3rd time ever. I'll keep training him up a little bit, but I won't invest all that heavily into him. I'd like to make him a great knight just for fun, and he does fine in that class because the Swift Strikes art compensates for his speed issues. That said, I'm not sure that I'll deploy him on any real missions after the time skip, outside of his own paralog. He'll be on guard adjutant duty, and that's about it. Petra's a Wyvern Rider now, and she can reach the Wyvern Lord requirements pretty easily, but that's not all that I have in mind. I want her to be a dodge tank with Battalion Wrath later on, so she needs to hurry up and get alert stance. I also want her to use mostly swords since their prowess ability offers the highest avoid and they have the lowest weight. Petra obviously isn't going to have sword avoid plus 20, so she's going to face small but noticeable hit rates even after she has alert stance plus. To cover for that, I want her to grab Defiant Avoid from Falcon Knight. It isn't a perfect solution. It doesn't work until she's already at low HP, and I'd prefer for her never to take damage so that I don't have to worry about managing my battalion endurance. But in the event that she does take a hit or two, she should face close to 0% hit rates for the rest of that map. In order to achieve all that, Petra still needs a lot of weapon ranks. She absolutely requires A+ in flying, and I want her to get A+ in swords as well. Beyond that, she'll need a few more ranks in both lances and axes so that she has decent chances of passing the Falcon Knight and Wyvern Lord exams. I don't think anyone benefited from the DLC classes more than Flame did. Dark Flyer is a massive upgrade for her. A unit with Rescue is at their best with high mobility, and before the DLC came out, the only way Flame could get that was with Dark Knight or Holy Knight. But she has a weakness in riding, so qualifying for those master classes was a huge pain, and they came online very late. Dark Flyer is available 10 levels sooner, and its qualification exam only asks for Reason, in which Flame has a budding talent, and Flying, which Flame already has D rank in at base. Flame has all the wind-based spells, and usually those aren't so spectacular, but her own ability to fly helps her make the most of Excalibur against enemy flyers. As long as she remains a Pegasus Knight, I'm having Flame use axes. That way she can also pass the Wyvern Rider exam for the strength boost. Speaking of Wyvern Rider, we've got another one in Cyril. He flies and he has Swift Strikes, so he's awesome. I'll try to train his lances up to C+ so he can get Vengeance, which is his other top tier combat art. The most convenient way to set up Vengeance for maximum damage is with the Blessing Gambit. I already have access to it right now through the Asar research group, but that's the only way to get it before the time skip, and it's locked behind the online features. I don't want to use strategies in this playthrough that require Nintendo's online services, so I won't use the Asar research group's Gambit until later. Another consideration is that I'm building 3 other people with abilities that depend on having low HP. It'll be pretty annoying to set up yet another one, so I'm mainly going to have Cyril use Point Blank Volley. Last up is Balthus. I've committed to the War Monk route. He almost has B+ Faith, which will allow him to certify in Bishop for a decent magic base and high resistance. War Monk isn't really Balthus' best class. He's better off with Grappler. The new Magale Art's ranged capabilities are interesting, but they're not nearly as useful as the triple hit from Fierce Iron Fist. And Balthus' Faith spell list is a little weird. He doesn't get Recover or Physic, both of which would be excellent. What he does have is Seraphim, which won't be very strong, but will give him a way to counterattack monsters with anti-monster weaponry. He also learns Restore, which is at least nice to have. Flame gets it too, but it can't hurt to have more coverage. So what's the roadmap from here? After this battle, I want to do Sylvain's Paralog because it's pretty easy, and it gives me the Gautier Knights, a stride battalion that actually has good stats. The enemy there also drop a ton of great items, including an extra advanced seal, which can help support all my certification plans. I've been buying all the seals I could, but that's just not enough. The Lance of Ruin will be the cherry on top. After that, I want to complete the other paralog that gives me an advanced seal, Setheth and Flame's paralog. Again, the rewards are great. I'll get a second range boosting staff, and I'll also receive the Keyhole Wyvern Company, the best flying battalion in the game. It boosts hit and crit, so Claude will have basically exclusive claim to it after the time skip. Once I've promoted everybody, my team will be strong enough to do almost anything. I'll first do the Hanneman and Manuela paralog. It gives me some nice stuff, including the Experience Gem and the Index Sword Fighters, but the deployment limit on that map is really low, so it would interfere with my training plans if I did it before everyone promoted. The two Ashen Wolves paralogs have incredible rewards, but they're also pretty hard. All my preparations will begin to pay off there. Those two battles will be the last ones before this month's story mission.
Careful.
Next month is second to last before the time skip. I'll do 5 of the 6 paralogs, all but Hilda's and Cyril's, which is the only one that doesn't expire at the end of chapter 11. So we have a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. I hope you'll subscribe and stick with me.
I got this.
Who, me? Who, me?
I am Ferdinand von Eyre. Stay focused.
I'm sorry. I will get the victory. Committed to...
Sure, pal. Got him.
Let's get to it.
Good to go.
Ready when you are. Careful.
I stand ready.
Thanks. Oh.
Your call. Not so fast!
Hey, I got this.
I'm close.